Other big story we're tracking here on India First. No passports for stone pelters. No government jobs for stone pelters. The Jammu and Kashmir administration has decided to crack the whip on stone pelters and those who support them. The Jammu and Kashmir Police now have an elaborate database on the notorious stone pelters based on CCTV camera images, drone images, and of course images captured not just on police but also media cameras and footage recovered from mobile phones. Now such elements will be put on a negative list and then will not be cleared either for passports or for government jobs. The opposition is up in arms saying this is the work of a police state. Sunil Ji Bhatt gets us more. No passport for stone pelters. No government jobs for stone pelters. Jammu and Kashmir Police cracks the whip. CCTV cameras, quadcopter images to identify stone pelters. No police clearance for stone pelters. Enough is enough, says the Jammu and Kashmir administration. The Criminal Investigation Department has issued a circular that denies security clearance for those in police records for stone pelting. The move is seen as a step to send out a strong signal and deter potential stone pelters. The government has also in the past spoken about strong action against those who mobilize children for stone pelting.
The circular issued yesterday made one thing very clear. You're going to pelt stone, you're not going to get anything. गंदी राजनीति खत्म हो गई. अब पत्थर मारने से नौकरी भी नहीं मिलती और पैसे भी नहीं मिलते.
The opposition has hit out at the move, saying it's open to misuse. Omar Abdullah, former chief minister of the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir, took to microblogging platform Twitter to say guilt needs to be proven in a court of law and not by an executive order. Omar tweeted, as a rule, no one can be declared guilty until proven. So far, as this new order is concerned, it should be seen in relation to the recent order on termination of employees. As such, this new order also seems open to gross misuse in its current form. The Congress too sees an ulterior motive to the circular, alleging it is aimed to benefit the BJP in Uttar Pradesh, presenting a strong image of the Narendra Modi government.
कहीं पे भी ऐसे ताकतों में जहाँ पे कोई मुलव्वस पाया गया तो उसको पहले भी पासपोर्ट यहाँ पे नहीं मिलता था. ये कोई चुकाने वाली बात यहाँ पे नहीं, जो मैं समझता हूँ सिर्फ एक्सप्लॉइट करने के लिए, सियासी रोटियाँ सेकने के लिए भी ये कदम यहाँ पे हो सकता है यूपी चुनाव को देखते हुए.
The BJP has however come out defending the order, saying it aims to deter stone pelters.
It is a significant decision. It will definitely break the backbone of anti-national forces, all those who are always conspiring against the country.
The Jammu and Kashmir administration has taken a series of measures, including dismissing from service those suspected to be providing assistance to terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, a move that has drawn sharp criticism from some political parties. The J&K administration has dismissed 11 people, including both sons of Hizbul Mujahideen chief Sayyid Salahuddin, from government jobs. With Sunil Ji Bhatt in Jammu, Bureau Report, India Today. So is this move aimed to deter stone pelters? Will it? Or will this make the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir a police state ahead of the second anniversary of the abrogation of Article 370? Joining me on India First is Ifra Jan, spokesperson of the National Conference, Tom Varakkan of the BJP, and Kuldeep Khoda is former Director General of the Jammu and Kashmir Police. Tom Vadakan, Omar Abdullah has argued police database is different from courts convicting an accused. Here, an accused will be denied either a passport or a government job just on the basis of an adverse CID report. And this order, according to him, is open to gross misuse, sir.
Gaurav, this is an order that's been signed by the SSP, Senior Superintendent of Police, and this is important because this was also a thing that was done across the country. When you had the Naxal movement, you had screening of people involved in Naxal movement. So this has been happening all over the country. It's not as if it's suddenly a new screening formula. Point is law and order, people first. And when you have situations where people destroy public property, destroy the exchequer's money, and that is the taxpayers' money.
Okay.
And they're doing it, and then they get cushy jobs after that. And they operate under the cover of these cushy jobs. And they're on both, they get passports, go abroad, get training, and then come back as terrorists. Now, this is also on record. This has been happening. Point is, we need to filter out these people.
Okay,
If we do
Ifra
not
Jan,
filter them,
okay, stone pelting is not a birthright, nor is it a democratic form of protest. If a stone pelter is caught on camera, why should he get a passport or a government job or a cushy job, as Tom Vadakan puts it? The moment he picks up a stone against the security forces, ma'am, does he not automatically forfeit his right to a passport or a cushy government job?
See, Gaurav, let me come in here and say that this order is not against the stone pelters or people who are supposedly alleged, involved in anti-national activities. This order is against people who the police thinks is involved in stone pelting or is involved in adverse political activities or anti-national activities. It's not based on, so the question here really is who ascribes guilt, who gets to define whether this person is a person who's an anti-national and therefore should be convicted and taken. And Article 16 of the Constitution gives a fundamental right to every citizen against being discriminated when it comes to taking up the government job. So if my local SHO tomorrow does not like me for various reasons, that could be because I am from a political party which the party he presently reports to does not like, he can simply say, hey, I have an adverse opinion of Ifra Jan and we will not give her a government job. The essence here is not whether these people, whether a stone pelter should get a government job or not. The essence of the order and why we are disagreeing with the order is because it is based on what the police thinks, and police thinking that you're guilty automatically does not make you guilty, not even in the most draconian countries.
Kuldeep Khoda, where is due process of law is the question that Ifra Jan asks.
Absolutely.
Where is due process of law? This is India becoming a police state. If a policeman does not like your face, he could say there is an adverse report against an individual and he would be denied either a passport or a government job, sir.
Gaurav, the order issued is a speaking order. It clearly mentions that any sort of involvement in activities which are against the security of state and other subversive activities like involvement in creating law and order situations and stone pelting, it has to be backed by evidence. And the type of evidence is also mentioned in the order, what type of evidence you should have. Moreover, granting up a passport is not a matter of right. If you see other well-developed democracies also, passports are denied for very, very small reasons also. You look at United States, United Kingdom, or many other European countries also. Anybody coming to some sort of adverse notice, a person doesn't automatically has the right to get a passport. Moreover, there's a judicial process also. If somebody feels that he is not involved in some crime, he can always approach a court. But at the same time, what is more important in this is that the security forces, while dealing with this problem, which is over 30 years old now, they have been always facing a problem. On the one hand, they are asked to deal with the stone pelting and curb the stone pelting. On the other hand, we see the government later on withdrawing the cases against the stone pelters. Now, this puts the job of security force and the police
Yes.
in a very peculiar situation, and we cannot really do justice. The government has to have a very clear policy on dealing with any situation, whether it is Kashmir or anywhere else.
Okay.
So it is good that government is developing a clear policy on dealing with crime. You can't have a dual policy or dual strategy to deal with a situation where there is an inherent.
So you're saying that
policy.
a person can take recourse to a court of law. Tom Vadakan, a student may be forced to pick up a stone. He could be under pressure from terrorists. He could be under pressure from maybe the local dada who's a stone pelter. Should an individual not get a hearing before being denied police clearance, a passport or a government job? Are you then pushing youth further into the arms of terrorists by such measures that Ifra Jan fears, or people in Jammu and Kashmir fear, could turn this into a police state?
Gaurav, this is, I think, as a police former DG has categorically said, that there is methodology involved. Evidences are collected from CCTV, and if the individual has done things or acts against the state, there is always, if he is not guilty, he should come clean. He should tell the police or go to court and say, well, look, I'm not guilty.
Yes.
There's no evidence against me. There is an option. This is a free country. But at the same time, if you offer them passports, if you give them clearance, imagine them working as assets of the Pakistani establishment and leaking out information from
Ifra Jan,
from the state. These are
serious
issues that
charges.
need to be addressed.
Thank you.
Serious
So I would
charges,
want to
no,
respond point
especially
by
the point.
point to
So
every question that's raised.
there is recourse to a court of law. There is evidence that the police will have to produce. Now, if there is a youth with a stone in his hand, or if he's pelting a stone, then there is evidence against him.
See, Gaurav, my first question would be, if there is evidence against, let's suppose, somebody who seems to have been involved in stone pelting, why would the police in that case not simply file an FIR? Because that is, the police is mandated to file an FIR in that case. And if the police files an FIR, in that case, already we have a law that if there is an FIR against you, lodged against you in any police station, you cannot get a government job.
Yes, but then you have leaders who will even get Masarrat Alam out of jail and who will withdraw cases against 10,000 stone pelters.
You see,
now that process needs to be checked.
I will respond to that, Gaurav. I'm afraid if the police can take back the FIR, which is a much more difficult process, the police can simply take back the adverse report and say we have no adverse report against this person, and say we have no evidence against this person. So what you are trying to say, it's actually much more easier to take back the adverse report rather than the FIR. As far as the passport is concerned, in the Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India, it was held that holding a passport is a fundamental right, and it is a right all of us have. What unfortunately Mr. Kuldeep Khoda is suggesting that everybody here
should a stone pelter enjoy the same rights?
Proven innocent.
If a stone pelter, you pick up a stone, you injure the security forces, and then you want to enjoy all rights of this country. I am sorry, Mr. Khoda. If there is evidence,
I don't agree with you.
Well, I think Mr. Khoda, you must respond to that.
Court of law, no.
Mr. Khoda,
you don't believe in the court. Do you not believe
conviction
in the court,
of law? Conviction by a court of law, or is that picture enough? Yes, Mr. Khoda wants to clarify.
Legal point first.
Do you not
a legal
believe
point
in
Okay, Mr. Khoda is clarifying.
That the police
have full faith in the judiciary. And the last point, it's absolutely ironical that this
the point is that
circular
has
has
no
actually
powers
come
to
from a cabinet.
Okay, let
2% of our cabinet.
Let Mr. Khoda respond. Let Mr. Khoda respond. It's a very serious question. It's a very serious question that Ifra Jan raises. Please respond, sir.
Let me clarify first that the police has no powers to take back an FIR, as has been mentioned by this other panelist. It is the government which has been withdrawing the cases against the stone pelters. Police has no powers, legal powers to withdraw any
but
case.
Mr. Khoda, the point that Ifra Jan raises is, if the police can, if the government can order withdrawal of an FIR, the government can order withdrawal of an adverse report.
No, certainly not. It can't, because adverse report is based on police record. The government has the powers to approach the court for withdrawal of a case, which normally the courts agree. But as far as the adverse reports are concerned in the CID records, they stand there. They cannot be deleted by the order of the government. They are the backbone of the any intelligence agency all over the world. Not to talk of Kashmir only or of Indian nation. But the point is that do we want to send a confusing signal down the line that on the one hand we want the peace to prevail, on the other hand give encouraging signals to the stone pelters that they can resort to stone pelting, and later on the cases will be withdrawn and they can enjoy all benefits which are available to a normal citizen who is law abiding and who believes in restoration of the peace.
Okay.
But the government has to have a very clear policy on dealing with the problem, and the problem is on hand for last more than 30 years.
You know, because
it's good that the government has to have a clear policy.
Tom Vadakan, your former alliance partner PDP.
I would want to respond to that.
You must respond, ma'am. But you know, we must put this question to Tom Vadakan. 10,000 stone pelters, against them cases were withdrawn. There was a time that a suspected terrorist who used to organize stone pelters called Masarrat Alam, he was let off. So will our political parties at least keep India first on issues of national security, sir?
Gaurav, there is no doubt about it. That was a coalition government, and we regret that whole that chapter. When there's been a bold decision taken by the government of India on 370, and the decision that law and order must prevail across the board. So, I mean, we have taken a judicial, a very important decision to act upon these elements. Now, as the Honorable former police official has categorically stated, that these matters can also be taken to court, and if they are innocent, the court will set them free. But the point here is, if you have damning, smoking gun evidence against anybody, they go into the records of any governing state.
And if Rajan, that point, Mr. Khoda has also clarified that an FIR may be withdrawn on the orders of a government told to the court, but an adverse police record cannot be removed by the government. Now, government officials say the pond is being drained. Syed Salahuddin's sons are among several people who no longer have government jobs. The signal is very clear: government jobs and passports for those who believe in the Constitution of India and peace in our country.
Well, at least coming to me, I can very clearly say that what the police thinks of you is clearly now getting, it's clearly now being the substitute of a free and a fair trial that a person is supposed to have in a court of law.
If you think you're not a stone pelter, go to court and say I'm not a stone pelter. But if there is evidence, if there is a stone in your hand and you're hurling a stone.
This is precisely the problem, Gaurav. I'm afraid this is precisely the problem, Gaurav. What you are saying is that you are guilty until you prove yourself innocent.
If
when
there
the
is
Indian law
pictorial
and the
evidence against you,
law of every country comes and says that you are, then in that pictorial evidence, take the case to the court. Right now, we don't have the PDP government. Right now, we don't have the National Conference government. The BJP government obviously will not take back the cases and the FIRs. Why would you have to have this report when right now we have the BJP government? Jis din NC की government आ जाएगी, उस दिन चलो you were saying this, we will make sense of that.
No,
but
so
right
you say only NC or PDP is democracy and anybody else is not democracy. Is that how it will be handled?
I did not say that.
Anyway, let us see how this pans out. Will this actually deter stone pelters and stone pelting? Because in Kashmir, like we've seen in the past, whether it's 2008 or 10, incidentally, you had an NC government then and more than 100 people were killed in stone pelting and action that was subsequently taken. 2012, 2016, we've covered all these stories on ground and we will continue to track developments on this story.